Hey there, and welcome to the Recruiting Masters Podcast, episode 22, brought to you by the CFC Insider. I'm Katie Burt, content manager for CanadaFootballChat.com. Alongside Clint, lead analyst and head of the CFC Scouting Bureau, and former U Sports head coach. Welcome back, Clint.
Thanks for having me, Katie.
I hope the 2019 season is treating everyone extremely well now that we are about halfway, and some are actually entering playoffs. In Saskatoon, I believe they're entering playoffs. There's a few areas in Ontario, and then some other provinces are getting pretty close. And you got the BC is basically still halfway.
Halfway through. I think they have 3 regular season games left, and there's just a powerhouse ranked number 1 in the province right now.
And so we're just going to get right into it. We've been on a bit of a break over the summer, and this is our first time back. We've got some exciting things coming up. We're getting ready for the CFC Prospect Game 2020. Last year was the first time we ran that. It's the high school all-star game that was broadcast on the Sports Network, TSN. So national television, and it was a great success. So we're really looking forward to getting into the second year, which is for players born in 2003, 2004 eligible, and we're starting off our combine season, find and fill up this 70-man, 73-man roster. And we're going to start with the open tryout and showcases across the country. So the event schedule looks like this. So we've got our first one on November 11th in Halifax, which will be the first time we've been in Halifax for this particular event. It's from 2 to 5 at the East Hant Sportsplex. All of this information you can find on CanadaFootballChat.com on the menu tab under Register and CFC Events. So feel free or look those up, and you can see all the specific dates across Canada. We have on December 8th, we were in Burlington and Brampton. On December 13th, we're in Calgary. December 14th, we're in Edmonton. January 10th, we're in Moose Jaw, which again, this will be actually the first time we've held a combine in Saskatchewan, so we're really excited about that. January 17th, we're in Vancouver. January 19th, we're in Montreal. And then January 31st, we are in Winnipeg. Clint, what can you say? We've got the first one, November 11th. Members of the CFC Scouting Bureau will be there. Our director, Lee Burt, will be there scouting the talent. What kind of general comments can you give about that combine?
Well, I think so far there's a couple of kids like pushing. There's actually a really good start number-wise for that one. It'll be the first time we get out there. It fell on the 11th, so it's in the afternoon. It's worked out well for a lot of different reasons. So no, we're looking forward to that. I mean, the Maritimes can be a little difficult to kind of wrap your head around at times and kind of get the kids you want to see out. But we're off to a good start with the registrations for that. So, and later on in this podcast, we're going to talk about some of the kids we would like to actually see at it, because there are some legitimate prospects in the Maritimes. It's just sometimes a little hard to find them.
So we're going to go over some of those prospects in Halifax in the next little bit, as well as offer that guy from this list of prospects. So you want to make sure that you stay around for that. So be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter @ChatFootball, Instagram CFC_football, and YouTube. We've got our sizzle reel up on our YouTube, as well as the full CFC Prospect game, so you can check that out. Just hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel so that we can open up some more awesome features that come with increased subscriptions. And then don't forget to sign up for your exclusive CFC Insider membership. Just hit the subscribe button for access to rankings, analysis, and daily football recruiting news across Canada. So Clint, let's get right into it. We've got these Halifax prospects, or I shouldn't say Halifax, I should say the Maritime prospects from New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and elsewhere. We're going to talk about the 2021 class first. These would typically be your 2003 birth year prospects, correct?
Yeah, this would be like the 10s that have gone into 11. So yeah, so this would be 2021.
Okay, so we've got Caleb Tremblay and Samuel. So these are Samuel Tremblay. These are the twins. They are from New Brunswick. They go to Cole St. Anne, I believe. The Casters. I believe that's what.
I'm not sure if they moved, but they were there last year. I know there was some talk of them possibly playing somewhere else, but I don't know if that transpired. But yeah, they're two of the twins who made the rosters. The two twins who made the rosters Samuel played in the game and showed quite well to the point where he actually was an offensive player on one side, offensive MVP on one side of the ball. Caleb got injured prior to, but I know when we had the selection committee rank the receivers, there was a couple of the CFL/NFL receivers who were on that selection committee who had Caleb ranked quite high. He was actually ranked ahead of some of the players who did in fact actually suit up in the game. Receivers.
So both these kids are 6'2", 160, 150 pounds, but they play really tough. I was quite impressed with Samuel's play as a quarterback for Team Dunnigan last year, and you can check that out on the YouTube channel to watch that game. Both of these players are ranked. They are CFC 100s. Let's talk about Cherokee Robinson, receiver, 5'11", 180 pounds. He plays at the CFC 50 Citadel in Halifax. He just looks like a playmaker.
Yeah, his film would show you that. He had a number of big plays to go along with an awesome name. So, I mean, he plays at a winning program. He is just, he's awesome with the ball in his hands. He made a number of big plays in a variety of different ways. So, yeah, he's a playmaker, goes to a really good school, and he has a name you're not going to forget.
Cherokee Robinson, yeah, of course. And then we've got CFC 150, Ryan Arnberg. He's an offensive guard, 6'2", 280 pounds. He goes to Sir Johnny McDonald. He's with the Flames. He looks like a college guard already.
Yeah, when we spoke to Coach Dyer's at Citadel. Yes, Coach Dyer's at Citadel. We spoke to him about a couple of prospects in the Maritimes, and this is one of the prospects he brought up. Said he's a little younger, which is not too surprising in the Maritimes. So you got probably a young man who's 15 going on 16 or just freshly turning 16 who legitimately looks like he's got kind of the size and all the different things you're looking for in a U Sports guard. So he's already 6'2", he's already 280. It'll be interesting to see how he fills out if he grows a bit more, so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, he goes to SJA, which is one of the other really good programs in Nova Scotia and in the Maritimes.
And then we've got CFC 150, Keandre Jollimore, defensive back / athlete. He's 5'10", 175 pounds. He goes to Auburn Drive, who is another one of the better teams in the Division I Halifax or Nova Scotia high school football. I actually thought he was one of the better athletes that we watched on film.
Yeah, he's an athlete. He's a multi-sport. He kind of made plays from multiple positions. So it's not the first time I've heard the name Jollymore coming out of the Maritimes. But yeah, he's a really good athlete. And his film kind of showed he can make big plays. Was a factor on both sides of the ball and in the special teams as well in the return game.
And next we've got offensive tackle, CFC 100, Chase Clayton. He's from Powerhouse CFC 50, Tantramar, New Brunswick. Now this is one of your favorite offensive linemen. You think he might be one of the best offensive tackle prospects out of New Brunswick in the last few years, including some of the D1 scholarship prospects that have come out of there.
Yeah, there's been a handful of linemen that have come out of the Maritimes, specifically New Brunswick, over the last few years who have gone down to whichever schools they ended up at, and they kind of parlayed or turned that into a Division I opportunity. I would say Chase Clayton's just as good as those guys, if not better. He has better measurables. He looks every part of the 6'5". He's 265. You know, he's probably got some pretty good coaching at Tantramar. He's won a bunch of games, so if you kind of put all the intangibles together and then you put those things that you can't teach, which would be length and athleticism and height, he's one of my favorite offensive linemen in Eastern Canada for sure. In the Maritimes, period, I would rank him a top offensive lineman. Outside of that, I would say he's one of my favorite ones just in the class of 2021 because it's those New Brunswick and those Maritime prospects are usually a year or two younger, and kind of your return on investment is you can get a bit more out of them. They're not topped out, they're not capped out. So it's like a blank canvas. You can kind of take that awesome size and that awesome length and turn it into whatever you want. And if you watch his film, you'll see he has the nasty demeanor that you might be looking for in an offensive lineman. So, and quite often we'll reference, he plays O-line like a D-lineman. So, I mean, he's one of those. I totally think he's one of the best offensive linemen in Eastern Canada.
Well, I really hope that he's listening and that he will come to our combine because it would be interesting to see him test.
To get our eyes on him,
yeah, for sure. Well, all of these prospects that we're talking about, it would be great to see them at the Combine in Halifax on November 11th. The next we have CFC 150 was recently ranked. Henry Mason, he's a running back, 6 foot, 198 pounds. He plays for the Fredericton Black Cats, I believe. He jumped out this summer, and he just looks like a really tough runner.
He looks like a really tough kid. The fact that he's 6 foot and like close to 200 pounds, and you speak to him on the phone or you speak to him just through the means, and it's like it's amazing nowadays that you have kids who are like 15 years old and they're 6 feet tall and close to 200 pounds and they're training already. What jumped out to me was the fact that he ran extremely hard. He finished his runs, so like he was behind his pads pushing the pile. If he didn't have a hole, he made a hole. And he was running against some pretty tough fronts and getting like some positive yardage. Yeah, I really liked him. Tough runner. And you know what? He could probably play multiple positions. So we're talking running back, H-back, fullback. You know what? At that size and with his physicality, he could even probably transition over defense and be an inside linebacker.
So we have another running back, CFC 100, Malcolm Busty. 5'10", 185 pounds. He's playing down at St. Paul's Prep.
I believe it's in New Hampshire. He's with Joey Coastern and a couple other kids who seem to make their way from the Maritimes, and there's a couple kids from Montreal every year that make their way to St. Yeah, it is St. Paul's. Yeah.
St. Paul's Prep, yeah. He looks like a smaller version of touchdown Tommy Verdell. You think?
Oh, yeah. The former Stanford running back. He's just like, you know what? I would say he is the best pure running back. I know he's in the New England area now playing, but I do know he's easily probably the best. Well, you know what? I'm going to say he's just the best running back out of the Maritimes this year. If we were to say he's from
pretty
there.
High praise.
Yeah, he's legit. If you're a college recruiter, I would strongly suggest you throw on Malcolm's film, and you're going to see a human highlight reel, and you're going to see like if he was playing Tecmo Ball, he would be Bo Jackson.
Oh.
Or if he was in Tecmo Ball, he would be Bo Jackson. And for those of you who play Tecmo Ball and are over the age of 40, you know exactly what I mean.
I don't even know what you mean.
Well, you should look it up then.
And next we have CFC 100, Connor Burns. He's reclassed. He was a linebacker when we first saw him and had him ranked. He's 6'4", 250 pounds. He goes to another prep down in the States, Western Reserve Academy in Ohio. But he recently switched positions from linebacker to offensive tackle. So that will be really interesting to see how he transitions from those two positions. What do you think about that?
Yep, I think it'll go extremely well. A couple of things you need to know about Connor is he was a linebacker, and then he was a defensive lineman, and then he's an offensive tackle. He was always in that 6'4" range. We first noticed him when he was in just going grade 9 into grade 10, and he was already 6'3", 225 pounds. So the cool thing about Connor is, yeah, he's now 6'4", 250 pounds, but if my memory serves me correctly, Connor's also a decorated wrestler. So if you take the 6'5", 250-pound former linebacker who is now an offensive tackle and you throw in the wrestling component and you're actually a football coach who knows what's going down, this may be a young man you'd want to recruit. If I heard those things and I watched some film and the film was even remotely good, I think I would be hunting down Connor Burns. So yeah, Connor Burns it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. On paper, it looks good so far. I'm excited to see when he actually makes up a highlight film and fires it out, either midway or at the end of this season.
So the next two players are, they aren't ranked players, but we saw them during the summer again. They go to Kennebecassis. I hope I said that correctly, the KV Cowboys. Alex Blizzard, he's a receiver, 5'11", 145 pounds, and Hayden Rowe, he's a linebacker, 6'1", 185 pounds. Blizzard, 145 pounds. These are intriguing prospects. They're from a smaller program, but I think they would be a couple guys to follow up on.
Yep. I mean, book your ticket to Kennebecassis.
There's a few prospects coming out of that program.
Well, they popped on our screen this summer. So, I mean, Alex Blizzard was one. Hayden Rowe was another one in the class of 2021. And then in the class of 2022 or 2023, there's a young DB, Curtis Squires, who's 6'5", 160 pounds, who's also from the same school. So if there's three prospects and they're from rural New Brunswick, yeah, I would say if I was a coach, I may want to slide by the KV Cowboys and take a peek. I had a heck of a time trying to pronounce Kennebecassis for a bit there, but There's 3 legit prospects. They at least popped out to us. Didn't see as much film as we wanted on Squires, but we saw a little bit. And then the other 2, they jumped out. And you know what? 6'1", 185 pound, a younger linebacker in 11. Any linebacker who's over 6 feet tall and can run, I would be interested. And you know what? There's like I said, those kids in the Maritimes, they maybe take another year or 2 to develop, but the finished product, there's an opportunity for them to be really good. And back in the days when I went to Champlain Regional College, go Cougars, there was a lot of kids who had come from the Maritimes, and they really panned out after that additional year. So go see the KB Cowboys if you get a chance there, coaches.
So let's get into the 2022s, 2023s. These are our 2004 birth year athletes. So we just want to mention the first edition of the 2022 CFC 100, CFC 150 is coming out March 1st, the beginning of March. And so we really, really want to see these athletes at these combines because it'll give us a chance to evaluate them and see kind of where they're at, where they may be placed on the list. And you know what? There's going to be players that we have never heard of and never seen. So just keep that in mind. You know, this combine isn't also a tryout for the CFC prospect game, but it is a chance to be ranked on the CFC player class rankings that are coming out in the future. So it is something that you may want to consider. So the first one we have is Parker Walsh. She's an offensive tackle, 6'5", 300 pounds. So remember, this is a 2022 kid. He's already 6'5", 300 pounds. He goes to Hortenheim in Wolfville. You cannot teach size or length, as you've mentioned numerous times.
Yeah, there's been several times in my role with the Scouting Bureau where certain coaches and certain other personalities will get quite grumpy with us for not ranking offensive linemen who are taller than 6'3". So like when you look at a young offensive lineman and it's 6'5", 300 pounds, it's like check. The first 2 boxes have been checked positively. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. Like Katie said, these are 9s going into 10. So technically he's halfway through his grade 10 year, which means he has 2.5 years left. Who knows? He's right there near the campus of the mighty Acadia Axemen, who are undefeated at this point. So he may have a chance to train with the Elliot Richardson. Anyway, so I'm excited to see how Parker plays out. I don't think Horton's having a great year.
They're in the Division 2.
Yeah, so I don't think they're having a great year, but you're 6'5", 300 pounds, you have a chance.
The next prospect that we've noticed is defensive end Kyle, is it Colley?
I say Colley.
He's 6'2", 210 pounds from Auburn Drive. Now, this is, again, one of the stronger programs we mentioned above. I believe they are undefeated or they've only lost 1 at this point in the season. But he also has a great frame, and he's pretty athletic.
Anytime I see a grade 10, so 9 and a 10, so a grade 10 defensive end who's 6'2", 210 pounds and can run a little bit, I'm totally interested. Because he's like probably 14 years old, maybe just turned 15, has a chance to grow a little bit more. 6'4", 230 pound end is what I'm thinking in 2 or 3 years. Chance to really develop a really good athlete. So yeah, the frame is there and he can run a bit. Defensive end who can run like linebackers. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Which takes us into our next 2 prospects.
Which is Matthew Shannon. He's a linebacker, 6'3", which your eyeballs are already getting bigger. 185 pounds. He goes to CEC, so Quebec Educational Center, I believe.
Yeah.
As you would say, a 6'3" linebacker who's rangy, like you just start to say,
check the first 2 boxes. Yeah. So that's kind of how I see it. And I just wish that all the youth sports coaches would stop turning any linebacker who's over 6'3" into a field end or a defensive end and just leave a couple of them at linebacker because it just looks way better. But yeah, the Matthew and Isaac are both over 6'2". Matt is actually 6'3", according to what we saw on the rosters that we got our hands on. But yeah, 6'3", 6'2", closing in on 190 pounds. You know what? Like we said, these are grade 10s. So I don't even want to know what they're going to look like. If they hit the gym, boys. If they hit the gym hard, they could be like monsters by the time they hit their grade 12 year. Playing some football there in Nova Scotia. Checking out what the mighty Axemen are doing there in Wolfville. So anyways, Matthew Shannon, Isaac Webb.
There's no bias here. So I know you mentioned Isaac. His name is Isaac Webb. He's a linebacker, 6'2", 185 pounds. He plays at CP Allen. And like we said, who doesn't like a long, lean linebacker who can run? The next prospect we're going to talk about is Kyle Park. Now he's, I believe, a 2023 athlete.
So he's even younger. So he's grade 9.
Grade 9. So he's an offensive guard.
Or he's got a weird birthday.
6'2", 308 pounds. So just think about that for a second. Young kid who's already at that size, and who knows how much taller he's going to get. He goes to Ross Road School. Now, I'm going to be honest and say I've never heard of this school before, so I know nothing about the program and what type of history they have. But he's a super young athlete who I think could turn into a professional road grader if he gets a chance and some good coaching.
Yep. I would say at this point, if he's only, like, say, grade 9, if he is 2023, he's 6'2", 310 pounds. I'd say, you know what, young man, I would lean out, get really strong. You already have a bunch of good stuff going in the direction you two right now. But, yeah, and he's probably one of those players who he probably goes to a school that's probably the closest school to his house, but he plays like, say he plays at the provincial level, or he plays like community football or something like that. So that's probably why we weren't able to find anything on him. But we did find enough to see a grade 9 who's 6'2", 310 pounds. So, but lean out, bud, and I would focus on your strength. And yeah, if you're in grade 9 and you're already that big, you're going to be a monster by the time you hit grade 12.
And we really want to emphasize how important film is. I know when you're still in the beginning stages of your high school career, unfortunately, a lot of teams don't film their games. Probably at this stage, JV, that would be junior varsity.
Especially in some provinces, they don't have it. They don't even have huddle accounts.
So it is difficult for us to get film on them. But so we highly, highly, highly suggest that you have somebody, a parent, a friend, anybody, take a video and film it themselves. You gave some tips on how to film for the general person.
Yeah, like, I don't want to jump too far into that rabbit hole, but like, if your parents are going to film you, make sure they get nice, high angle. They're not completely zoned in on you. They actually track you throughout the play. Make sure you say what number you are on the film.
Yeah, highlight yourself.
If your program doesn't have enough money to get home and away jerseys, well, then make sure you put both numbers down if that's the case. And then another thing that's just kind of come in line for us since the TSN game is, we have a relationship with Tracking Football down in the United States, who does a really good job of analytics, so on and so forth. So if you are a track star, okay, and you're going to our things or you're not going to our things, and we found you, please, 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 please forward your track scores. Legitimate, okay, times or distances or measurements that are through your provincial body. If you send us those, we can also use those to benefit you in the recruiting process. Just an add in there.
The NCAA programs are associated with Tracking Football, and they use their database for these numbers, and more are getting on board with that. So
that's a huge thing right now, especially down in the States. And I know that Tracking Football profile's just gone up and up and up and up, and then they're at the point now where like the SEC and the Power 5 programs are now clients with them, and they do a really good job of pushing out names. So 3 weeks ago we tweeted a young man from Vancouver College, Jason Soriano, and unbeknownst to us, he's actually a track star, and Tracking Football somehow got a hold of his stats. And so we tweet his name out on a Saturday afternoon, and Tracking Football pushes his name out. I guess it was maybe Sunday at the latest. Yeah, it was really fast, and they had his track scores. It kind of took off for him, especially when they're pushing it out. Yeah. So it's one thing for us to push it out. There's going to be a lot of people that see it. There's going to be a lot of schools that see it all over North America, but it just gets magnified. It's just a bonus. When they grab it and push it, it's huge. It truly is huge.
And they were at our game, at the CFC Prospect game last year.
They sent down two of their people were at the game. And you know what, they were helping us with names at that point, and since the game, I don't know how many U Sports offers have come out to the rosters. Yeah. And there's probably no less than 7 to 10 NCAA offers have come out. But it's a massive number for the kids who played in the game. It'll probably only grow, and that's with the help of obviously TSN and the game itself and the track and
state
football folks. And we're constantly trying to refine what we do too, because I mean, we are a player's advocate. That's what we do. If you get us your stuff, it all is legit and makes sense. Well, then, yeah, we'll advocate on your behalf.
Two more prospects.
We got to talk about
that from the class of 2022-23. We've got running back Javon Johnson. He's 5'11", 180 pounds, goes to Bernice McNaughton, I believe. I really liked him when I watched him in the summer. He stood out along with Henry Mason. Just looks like a really good-looking, smooth athlete.
He was. I mean, if he was on any other team and not Henry's, he probably would have been the starter. But I would say I was totally impressed with them as a stable of running backs on the one team, especially the fact that they don't come from big-time programs from, say, Ontario or Alberta or whatever, but they were legit. Both of them were legit. And I didn't have to watch a ton of film in Javon, and I know he didn't get maybe the same amount of carries as the other kid, Henry, but you can just tell. There's points when you see a prospect, and you can simply just tell. And when we saw him, yeah, you could just tell.
And then we have the last one is a defensive back, Curtis Squires, 6'5", 160 pounds. So a defensive back who's 6'5", 160 pounds. Yes, I'm saying that correctly. Another KV Cowboy who we did mention earlier. So again, like you sport coaches, book your ticket and get over there.
Yeah, book your ticket, and Curtis, you probably ain't gonna play defensive back for too much longer. Once you start filling out that frame, yeah, at 6'5", 160, that would get me interested. I would be so interested, especially when I convert you into a defensive end, which I just told the youth sports coaches not to do. However, I'm different.
So we would really, really, really like to see these prospects come to the Halifax showcase and tryout, open showcase and tryout. So any athlete in the Maritimes, or if you want to come from out of province, completely welcome. We would love to have you there. Clint, do you want to just give a brief breakdown of the tests that are going to be run? And then we're just going to mention a few of the 2020 kids that we would like to see, just because the last edition of the CFC 100, 150 ranked list will be coming out right before signing day in February for the final edition. So we would encourage any 2020 athlete to come, because that might be a chance for them to get on that list right at the end. So what are some tests that they can maybe start practicing for? I know it's quite a short time, but just so that they're aware of it.
I mean, if the kids go on and you look up your position within the NFL Combine, you're going to see some of the positional drills you're going to do. And then for us, for general, our tests are very simple. You're going to run a 40. You're going to do a T-test. We're probably going to get rid of the ball throw, and we're just going to go back to the broad jump. We are going to measure arm length, hand span, and then your height and weight. So height, weight, arm length, hand span, T-test, vertical.
On the jump mat.
Your broad jump, and then your 40.
So you can, and of course you can look back at the other articles and things on CanadaFootballChat.com, because there's lots of resources on there that you can check out on our recruiting tips on how to train for those and what to look for. So you can get your CFC Insider membership in order to access those resources. So just really quickly, some of the 2020 kids, these are ranked players. And then we'll just mention a few that aren't, but we've got stuck in our bullpen right now. So Ben Harrington, Riley Felix, who's having a great year, I hear, and I've seen on Twitter. Mark Hamlin, Cornell Reddick, Logan Taylor, who is blowing up recently.
Logan Taylor, it's just bizarre. I don't know. I don't get NCAA coaches like.
It was like a week he released like 5 NCAA offers.
Yeah, and all it took was for him to change his address to a Virginia address. Like, I don't get NCAA coaches sometimes, because it's like he's been here for 3 years and we've been pumping his tires for 3, and then he actually literally moved to Virginia, and then they offer him. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But anyways, move on, because there's 40 other guys like that in Canada. Just a pro tip there, gents.
Just an FYI.
Yeah.
Justin Stevens, who I believe has already committed down to
Eastern Michigan.
And then Oliver Longpre, Bradley Peters, Nathan Clark, Tom Bro. These kids all, a majority of them played at, what was the prep school? St. James?
There's some of them played at St. James, but they're all legitimate youth sports prospects. All those kids, obviously Justin Stevens, plays at Football North and went to some camps and obviously lit it up. And he has all the testing numbers. So, I mean, he was like a tight end / defensive end who became a tackle. Logan everybody here always knew that he had whatever that they're looking for. It's just he had to change his address. So maybe all Canadians should just change their address to an American address and they'll get an offer. But I mean,
No,
totally
don't do
joking.
that.
I'm joking. Anyways.
We'll just move along from
Yeah,
that comment.
it's so bizarre. It's just, honestly, it's so bizarre. Yeah.
So some of the, we call it our bullpen. These are kids that we come across who submit their film onto our site, which you can do for free. There is a link there. Just add my film. You put that in with the information on the form, and we fire it back out on our Twitter platform. So, we've got quite a few followers, and a lot of recruiters are following that, and they see your film. So make sure that you upload your film. Make sure your Huddle account is up to date with all of the information. So we've got Dylan Day, another Nathan Clark, Ryan LeBlanc, Xavier Malone, Tion Williams, I believe it's Daikim Davis, I may be saying that wrong, Nick Boutlier, who I just found the other day, so I'm very intrigued about him, Logan McNamee, and Jacob Schonberg. Again, so these are just prospects that we've just been noticing, and we kind of got in our evaluation page that we, we want to see more on them.
They're in the bullpen. So they're in the bullpen. They're being considered for lists. We
still want to encourage the 2020s to come, even though they are not eligible for the CFC prospect game this year. Their year was last year. So please come, do the combine, get your testing numbers. They're great. We'll fire them off to track and football. This is your senior year.
They get all the numbers anyways.
They do. So
they do analytics. So they get all the numbers regardless of who you are, whether you go on the list or not on the list. All of the combine numbers, and they're the ones who requested the arm length and the hand span.
And the height and weight, correct height and weight.
Yeah, so it legitimately is they're getting pushed off, and they don't play favorites. They put your numbers into an algorithm, and it pumps it out, and it says he's this level prospect. And the coaches from all over North America right now are signing up for their service, and are like, yeah, okay, I'll go with them. They get your numbers regardless of whether you make our lists or not. And even if you do make our lists or you don't make our lists, we still push your name. The only benefit is if you make a list, then you're constantly talked about until the point at which you've committed to a school. That's the advantage.
Yeah, everyone who submits their film, we follow up with a player article. So, our goal is to profile as many Canadian high school football players across Canada. So, there's a nomination form on CanadaFootballChat.com that you can player, parent, yourself nominate. And it's usually me that gets back to you. And then we start the process. So, this is a tool for you. Like Clint said, we are best player advocate. And we do our best to get your name out there continually, not just once. Make sure you check out those resources. So Clint, just to finish off, we do a segment called Offer That Guy. Clint has chosen a player that we've just mentioned. So who do you think NCAA coaches, and even U Sport coaches, who do you think should be Offer That Guy this week?
Logan Taylor would be me cheating, but I like...
For the 2021, 2022s, yeah.
If I was going to offer any of the kids we talked about today, it would be Chase Clayton, the offensive tackle from Tantramar in New Brunswick. I would. You guys will know exactly what I'm talking about when you go to his film, and it's like baby right tackle. So sometimes we say baby left tackle, I'm saying baby right tackle. Yeah. I know I'll watch his film and it's like, oh, that's what you're looking for. And if you fill out that frame and you just look at the heights and the weights and the measurements, and it's like, yeah, he's the guy, period. If I was to offer that guy from this list, it would be Chase Clayton, period. No questions asked. And there's some pretty good players on that list.
So once again, that Combine Open Tryout and Showcase is on November 11th in Halifax at the East Hants Sportsplex from 2 to 5 p.m. You can check it out on our CFC events. The register form is there, and that's the first one that we start off with. So please, if you haven't already looked into it or registered, we do have, it is filling up, so that's great to see. Please look at that because we do want to see as many Maritime kids as we can. This year.
Yeah, we want to get it out of the door too, because sometimes we have a hard time identifying kids out there. So we're giving you all an opportunity to please show up. And if you are legit, and we will pump your tires like crazy over the next few months, or if you're the class of 2021, 22, the next year or two, class of 2023, well, we'll probably be bugging each other for the next 2 to 3 years.
Well, and it's great too, before we sign off, is that I have looked at the registration, and there's quite a few players from the Dartmouth Destroyers, and kudos to the coach, because I really believe that he is bringing his kids to this combine. So I would encourage other coaches to take a look at that.
It's a great way to get your name out there. Make a list, don't make a list. It all goes well. You make a list and make the game, and somehow you get profiled on our website, and then getting profiled on Tracking Football as well. So it's like you play on TSN, you go on our list. Your numbers are so good that Tracking Football pushes it out, or at least they analyze it and you go into their database. And like all this stuff is the result of you going to one combine in the Maritimes from 2 until 5 p.m. Yeah. That's it. So 3 hours of your life, 4 hours, because there's the drive there.
And you get a free t-shirt. Don't forget the free
And you get a free t-shirt. So, I mean, yeah. So there you go. Hopefully as many players as possible make their way up to that combine. And then you get invited back for the next round, which puts you in line for the TSN game.
Yeah, so good thing that you mentioned that. The selection camp would be the next step, and that's in March. So, and that is invite only. And you can't get to that selection camp unless you go to this open tryout and showcase. So just keep that in mind. So that's it for us today. Don't forget to register for these CFC events on CanadaFootballChat.com under the Register Now events tab on the main menu. Be sure to follow us on our Facebook, our Twitter @ChatFootball, Instagram CFC_football, and our YouTube channel. And don't forget to purchase your exclusive CFC Insider membership today for access to rankings, analysis, and daily football recruiting news across Canada. This has been the Recruiting Masters, brought to you by the CFC Insider. Thanks so much, Clint.
Thank you.